The question of what a woman truly wants is perhaps the oldest mystery in the history of human psychology. Even Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis and one of the most brilliant minds to ever study the human psyche, once admitted that after 30 years of research into the feminine soul, he still had not found a definitive answer. However, while he may have felt he lacked a single answer, the principles he discovered provide a map through the labyrinth of female behavior. If you have ever felt confused by sudden shifts in mood, contradictory signals, or the underlying motivations of the women in your life, you are not alone. Most men approach these situations with logic, but Freud argued that human behavior is rarely logical. It is driven by deep, unconscious forces shaped long before we were even aware of them. By understanding these 11 psychological truths, you will gain a perspective that few men possess, allowing you to navigate relationships with clarity instead of frustration. The first truth Freud emphasized is that every woman is an extension of her childhood. The way she was treated, ignored, or cherished in her earliest years creates a blueprint for her adult expectations. If her childhood was marked by stability, she will seek that same peace. If it was marked by chaos, she might unconsciously recreate that chaos because it feels familiar. You are not just interacting with the woman standing in front of you, but also with the child she once was. The second truth focuses on the shadow of the father. Freud famously explored the Electra complex, suggesting that a woman's relationship with her father sets the standard for every man who follows. Whether she admires him or resents him, the father figure is the original prototype. She may spend her life looking for a man who mirrors his strengths or, conversely, trying to fix the flaws she saw in him through her partners. Third, we must understand the power of the unconscious. Freud believed that most of our decisions are made beneath the surface of conscious thought. When a woman reacts strongly to something that seems minor to you, it is rarely about the incident itself. It is a trigger for a deeper, unresolved emotion stored in her unconscious mind. To understand her behavior, you must look past the surface level and ask what hidden nerve has been touched. The fourth truth is that emotions are often a form of communication that words cannot capture. For many women, expressing a feeling is a way of testing the safety and presence of a partner. If you respond to her emotion with cold logic, you miss the point entirely. She isn't looking for a mathematical solution. She is looking for a psychological anchor. Fifth is the concept of projection. People often project their own internal fears or guilt onto others. If a woman is feeling insecure about her own worth, she might accuse you of losing interest. Freud taught us that what people find most frustrating in others is often what they are struggling with within themselves. Sixth, the need for security is not just physical, but deeply emotional and psychological. In Freudian terms, the ego seeks protection from the harshness of reality. A woman's behavior often shifts based on how secure she feels in her environment. When she feels safe, her walls come down. When she feels threatened, her defense mechanisms take over, which leads us to the seventh truth. Seventh, defense mechanisms like repression and displacement are always at play. A woman might repress a desire because she feels it is socially unacceptable, only for it to manifest as irritability or restlessness later on. Understanding that her behavior might be a disguise for an unfulfilled need is key to true empathy. The eighth truth is that validation is the fuel of the psyche. Freud noted that the ego constantly seeks recognition. In a world that often scrutinizes women from every angle, the need to be seen and understood for who they truly are, rather than what they provide, is a powerful motivator for their actions. Ninth is the influence of the maternal bond. Just as the father sets the standard for men, the mother sets the standard for how a woman views herself and her own role in nurturing. This internal dialogue between her identity and her mother's legacy often creates an internal tug-of-war that dictates her long-term choices. The 10th truth is that silence is often a heavy psychological weight. When communication breaks down, Freud believed the mind begins to fill the gaps with its own anxieties. If a woman goes quiet, it is rarely an absence of thought, but rather an overload of it. Finally, the 11th truth is that the search for connection is the ultimate drive. Beyond the surface conflicts and the daily stresses, the human psyche seeks to be part of something larger. A woman's behavior is often a series of attempts to bridge the gap between her inner world and yours. If you found these insights valuable, make sure to follow this channel for more deep dives into the mechanics of the human mind. Understanding psychology is the first step toward mastering your life and your relationships. Thank you for watching.